All right, so this, of course, is the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. Will Pakistan continue to remain on the terror watchdog's monitoring list, or will it now get a reprieve? The country's FATF is likely to be decided pretty soon by the Financial Action Task Force, as the global money laundering and terror financing watchdog is discussing this issue at its two-day meeting in Paris. Now, Pakistan, remember, has been lobbying pretty hard to have its name removed from the list of those nations that have been under increased monitoring in the month of June this year. Now, the FATF took the decision to keep Pakistan on what is known as the grey list, but added that it would take a call on whether to take its name off from the list after an on-site visit to evaluate the progress that has been made based on the parameters laid down by the watchdog. So what is the FATF grey list all about, and why is it so important for Pakistan to have its name removed from this list? Now remember, the country was added to the FATF grey list in 2018 after the FATF found that Pakistan had failed to adopt the adequate counter-terror financing measures and had handed it a list of reforms that it was expected to implement in order to have its demand met. If it wanted to be taken off the list, then Pakistan had to fulfill those 26 conditions that had been imposed on it. But over the course of the last 4 years, Pakistan had been repeatedly trying to get itself off from the FATF grey list, but had failed to do so. But now it appears that things are looking up, and it appears that Pakistan could, of course, get off the grey list. Now remember, being on the FATF grey list had badly affected Pakistan's sovereign credit ratings. That has, of course, taken a hit, as well as the investor sentiment. And all of this had restricted the inflow of foreign direct investment. In 2017 and in 2022, Pakistan's two major banks, the National Bank of Pakistan and the HBL, had to cough up about 55 million American dollars and 225 million American dollars respectively in terms of penalties that had been imposed by the US regulators for failing to comply with anti-money laundering rules. But the question, of course, is, has Pakistan done enough to meet with FATF's conditions? In recent months, the country, described by India as a safe haven for terror, has announced new prison terms, penalties and also other punitive measures for the likes of Hafiz Saeed and Sajid Mir, two of the most notorious terrorists belonging to the Lashkar-e-Taiba, a terror outfit that is believed to have plotted and also carried out the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks, in which 166 people were killed. But what has Pakistan done in the course of the last 4 odd years? And does this now justify taking Pakistan off the FATF grey list? This is what the FATF will have to decide on pretty soon. All right, now to get us more insights in terms of what, of course, is expected to happen in terms of Pakistan being on the FATF grey list, we are being joined by our Islamabad Bureau Chief, Anas Malik, who's joining us live from Pakistan. And we also have Siddhant Sibal, who's joining us live from New Delhi to get us an Indian perspective on this story. Anas, let me begin by asking you this. Now, this, of course, is something that everyone in Pakistan will be looking at very, very closely. The fate of whether Pakistan continues to remain on the grey list is expected to be decided. Now, within the country, what does the Pakistani government feel? Has it done enough to be taken off that grey list of the FATF?
Well, it won't be wrong to say that it would be a night or day of jubilation in Pakistan today, if at all, in about roughly 3 hours from now, when the announcement is expected to take place of Pakistan to be struck off the grey list. Pakistan was placed in 2018 June, about 4 years back, and since then there have been extensive measures on the part of the country that have been taken. That includes at least 17 regulations that have been brought in, 33 individuals that have been sentenced, more than 1,500 seminaries and assets that have been overtaken of these individuals, and plenty of fines that have been slapped. Besides that, we've seen that the individuals of concern, the IOC, such as Hafiz Saeed, Zakir Rahman Lakhmi, Abdul Rahman Makki and others, they've been put behind bars, something that in the previous past they were considered very close to the Pakistani establishment. So by and large, these measures have signaled that there is a change at heart in Islamabad. The government is very positive, they're very affirmative, they're very confident on coming out of the grey list. And as I said, in about some hours from now, we'd be hearing that press conference by the FATF president. The plenary has ended, as what we have learned very credibly. Pakistan's review has also ended. The decision, whatever that is, it's tight-lipped at this point of time. It has been communicated to the Pakistani side and in fact to Western diplomats as well. And the bigger challenge right now is whether Pakistan would be able to sustain this momentum. There is a mechanism in place. The government says the government is very keen, or rather jubilant and rather hopeful, that they will be pursuing and making sure none of what that led to their grey listing is repeated ever again.
All right, very interesting perspective there from Islamabad. Do continue to stay on with us, Anas. Meanwhile, my colleague Siddhant Sibal is also with us. Now, Siddhant, this of course is something that India has been watching very, very closely and will be watching closely. It's being speculated. At this point of time, nothing is certain yet, but it is being speculated that the possibility of the Pakistanis being taken off the FATF grey list actually looks like a very real possibility. How is New Delhi watching all this?
Well, India is closely watching the developments. Today, in fact, is a D-Day for Islamabad, given that any kind of decision which is likely to come is going to have a lot of repercussions, because when the country is on the grey list, it is basically a difficult area or a country for investors to invest in, because the money can be used for terror financing. But we know that the previous meeting of the FATF, the chair back then talked about how Pakistan can be removed by next meeting, but all depends on the on-site visit. There has been an on-site visit by an FATF team, and the report has been submitted, taken up during the plenary as well. But nonetheless, we know that India's stance when it comes to terrorism emanating from Pakistan, it hasn't changed. India has multiple times reiterated how Pakistan needs to take a concerted action against terrorism, and India is not buying that the policy of the Pakistani government has changed, given that no action has been taken against the perpetrators of 26/11 terror attacks, the 2008 terror attacks. But nonetheless, India's reaction after decision will be keenly awaited. We could expect a reaction later today or perhaps tomorrow. But nonetheless, we also have seen before this crucial decision multiple times India, along with its partners, have been trying to list Pakistan-based terrorists. But it is China that has come to support of Islamabad, shielding Pakistani terrorists, making sure that they are not listed as international terrorists. And that has happened not once, not twice, but 5 times this year.
Absolutely indeed, Siddhant. Thank you very much indeed to both Siddhant Sibal and also to Anas Malik for joining us in this broadcast and getting us that perspective. This, of course, is a big story that we will be tracking very, very closely, because it is a crucial day, remember, for Pakistan, where it is going to be assessed, and there is an announcement that is expected in some time from now on what is the fate of Pakistan and will it be taken off the grey list. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.